Imagine a player who doesn't just dominate on defense, but completely changes the way a team plays. That's exactly what Marlon Humphrey did with the Ravens. He's not just another cornerback. He became the heart of the defense, the guy who carries a legacy of being unbeatable in the secondary. But the wildest part? It didn't happen overnight. There's a whole story behind it, full of turning points, unbelievable plays, and a level of leadership no one saw coming. There's something about this guy that transformed the Ravens' defense from the ground up, and if you think you already know everything about him, just wait. Stick with me until the end, because what he did will seriously surprise you. Go Ravens! When Marlon Humphrey was selected by the Ravens in the 2017 draft, many saw him as a promising talent, but few realized he was about to become one of the cornerstones of Baltimore's defense. As a rookie, expectations were for him to grow and earn playing time gradually. No one expected him to become one of the league's most dominant cornerbacks so quickly. From day one, his game IQ, speed, and aggression were on another level. The big question was whether he could adjust to the NFL's fast pace, but he answered that quickly with an outstanding rookie season. In his first year, Marlon proved he was ready for the spotlight. Even with veteran cornerbacks already on the roster, he made his mark by locking down elite receivers as if he'd been doing for years. His ability to anticipate plays and his physical strength in contested catches made him invaluable. His confidence only grew as he faced off against top-tier opponents, and his coaches and teammates began trusting him with more and more responsibility in key moments. What truly set Marlon apart was his development. He didn't just learn from the vets. He created his own style. His versatility in both man and zone coverage made him a key piece in the Ravens' aggressive, ever-shifting defensive schemes. Over time, the weight on his shoulders increased, and he became the shutdown corner Baltimore desperately needed. The kind of player who could erase a top wide receiver and shift the game's momentum. Alongside other defensive standouts like Terrell Suggs and C.J. Mosley, Marlon started building a legacy. He shined in clutch moments, even in high-pressure situations, earning recognition as one of the defense's true pillars. His stats spoke for themselves. With each season, he gained more national respect and became more crucial to the team's success. By 2020, Humphrey was hands down the most dependable player on defense. But his growth wasn't limited to the field. Off the field, he became a true inspiration, a natural leader whose winning mentality and relentless work ethic set the tone. His presence in practice and on game day influenced the entire locker room. For him, confidence wasn't just a mindset. It was a result of preparation and commitment to the team. Today, Marlon Humphrey is more than just a player. He's the embodiment of the Ravens' defensive identity. His journey from promising rookie to defensive anchor proves that talent alone doesn't make a legend. It's the hard work, unbreakable mentality, and dedication to the team that turned him into a living icon for the franchise. He represents what it truly means to be a Raven. And when we talk about Marlon, we can't forget one of the most defining traits of his career, his ability to shut down the league's top receivers. How does he manage to become a nightmare for the NFL's best pass catchers? Very few players in the NFL can stick with the league's most dangerous wide receivers one-on-one, and Marlon Humphrey is one of them. What makes him so special isn't just his athleticism, but his football IQ. He doesn't wait for the play to develop. He anticipates it. He studies film, learns receiver tendencies, and knows where to be before the ball is even thrown. It's almost like he's reading both the quarterback and the receiver at the same time. Taking on guys like Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, or Tyreek Hill isn't something many defenders welcome. But Humphrey steps into those matchups with fearless confidence. He knows every second counts, and one slip-up can be the difference between a broken-up pass and a touchdown. That's why every snap he plays is full of intensity, focus, and razor-sharp technique. One of the trademarks of his game is his physicality. Marlon plays right on the edge, pressing receivers from the very start of the route. He has the strength to jam them at the line, and the speed to recover if needed. Even when he's trailing slightly, he knows how to use his body and hands smartly, forcing mistakes, knocking down passes, and sometimes causing turnovers. It's not just about strength. It's discipline and mindset, traits he's honed over the years. Another part of what makes him elite is his versatility. He can line up outside or in the slot, something most corners struggle with. Slot coverage is faster, tighter, and more unpredictable, but Humphrey thrives in that chaos. That flexibility gives the Ravens defensive coordinator the freedom to assign Marlon to whoever the top threat is, no matter where they line up on the field. And he's not just good once in a while, he's consistent. It's not about one standout game here or there. Marlon brings top-tier performance week after week. Even on days when the whole team is struggling, he holds the line. And when the defense needs a spark, a momentum-changing play, he's often the one to deliver. That's when true greatness shows. Under pressure, when it really matters, fans can feel his presence on the field. When Humphrey is locking down his side, there's a sense of calm. It's like that side's taken care of, and that forces offenses to adjust, usually with limited success. He makes quarterbacks think twice, and that changes the entire flow of the game. Few defenders in the league offer that kind of impact. But Marlon's not just a pass defender. His presence is felt in the run game, too. What happens when he brings that same physical energy into stopping the run? And have you noticed how Marlon Humphrey's presence changes the way offenses play against the Ravens? Drop a comment if you've seen the kind of impact a defender like him can have, or if you remember another player who transformed a defense with that kind of authority. Let's talk about it in the comments. Many people see cornerbacks as defenders who only show up when the ball is in the air, covering receivers. But Marlon Humphrey has always been different. Since the beginning of his career, he has shown that he doesn't shy away from run plays. On the contrary, he's often one of the first to arrive at the point of contact. His aggressiveness against the run is one of the trademarks of his style. He doesn't back down. He attacks. And that completely changes the posture of the Ravens' defense. When opponents try to run to Marlon's side, they already know there won't be an easy path. He reads plays quickly, and his burst to break off coverage and go after the ball carrier is impressive. It's rare to see cornerbacks pursuing tackles so frequently, and with such efficiency. He doesn't wait for the linebacker to make the stop. He does it himself. That forces offenses to think twice before trying to exploit the edges of the field. On top of that, Humphrey's tackling technique is firm, clean, and precise. He doesn't go for shoulder hits or just try to shove players out of bounds. He aims for the center of the body, halts the run, and finishes with aggression. That limits yards after contact and prevents runs from building momentum. It's the kind of contribution that often flies under the radar in the stats, but anyone watching closely knows how much it impacts a defense's overall performance. This constant physical presence makes Marlon a threat anywhere on the field. He's not just out there covering and waiting for a pass. He's always in motion, tracking the play's development and reacting with speed. His energy is contagious, and his willingness to engage in gritty, physical work near the line of scrimmage inspires the rest of the defense. He doesn't take plays off. He leads by example. Another key aspect is how his impact against the run gives the defensive scheme more flexibility. The coordinator can line up with lighter formations, knowing Marlon will provide the physical support needed on the edges. That increases the unit's versatility and allows for in-game adjustments without compromising defensive solidity. In other words, having Humphrey on the field expands the strategic options for the entire defense. And it doesn't stop there. His aggressive mindset also demands respect. Running backs and quarterbacks who study Ravens tape know that if they try to run toward Marlon, they'll pay for it. And that psychological factor matters. When a defender can shake an offense's confidence before the ball is even snapped, he's doing far more than just his job. He's shaping the game. And that's something Humphrey does masterfully. If he already intimidates in the run game, imagine the impact of his leadership and winning mentality behind the scenes. How does that attitude reshape the identity of the defense? Not every leader needs to yell or give long locker room speeches. Some lead through demeanor, through attitude, through consistency. Marlon Humphrey is exactly that type of leader. He doesn't promote himself as a star, but his actions on the field and behind the scenes say it all. Young players watch him. Veterans respect him. Coaches trust him. He's become a cornerstone within the franchise, not just because of the performance, but because of how he approaches the game, with seriousness, focus, and responsibility. When a player of that caliber shows up every day with intensity in practice, dedication in film study, and total commitment on game day, he automatically sets the standard. It's as if he's saying, "This is how we play football in Baltimore." And that culture spreads. Other defenders begin to mirror that behavior. The result? A cohesive, disciplined unit that knows exactly what it's doing. That doesn't happen overnight. That's something that gets built. And Marlon is one of the pillars of that foundation. It's important to remember that leadership isn't just about big moments on the field. It's also about how a player handles tough situations. When the defense breaks down, when the team is trailing, when things seem out of control, that's when true leadership shows up. And Humphrey never hangs his head. He keeps playing hard, takes responsibility, and holds the group together. That creates an emotional anchor for the team, a mental shield against pressure. Another key factor is how he embraces the role of a mentor. Young defensive backs coming into Baltimore know they'll have a steady source of knowledge in Marlon. He coaches, corrects, encourages without seeking the spotlight. He understands that the defensive success doesn't rely solely on him shining, but on everyone being ready to perform a high level. And that's only possible in an environment of cooperation and growth, something he helps cultivate every single day. Having a figure like Humphrey on the roster brings confidence to the rest of the unit. Knowing there's a leader who understands the system inside and out, who's been through every type of in-game situation, provides stability. He's the kind of player who sees the game plan in full, not just his individual assignment, and that allows him to anticipate offensive movements, correct alignments, and keep the group in sync. He's a defender with a coordinator's vision. It's no surprise, then, that his presence on a roster is considered vital by coaches and teammates alike. He's a living part of the Ravens' defensive identity, one that values aggressiveness, intelligence, and consistency. His approach keeps alive the traditions started by names like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. He carries on that legacy in his own way. No imitation, no force, just Marlon Humphrey, intense, prepared, a leader. And when it comes to legacy, Marlon isn't building his just through actions. He also delivers in the biggest moments. How does he elevate his game when it matters most? All right, we're about to head into the fifth topic. But before that, I notice you haven't hit the like button yet. That's really important to help YouTube keep recommending my content, so I can keep bringing you the best coverage of the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and leave a like. It's free. Thanks. Let's keep going. Some players perform steadily throughout the game, and then there are those who show up exactly when the team needs it most. The ones who, in the final seconds or during the most crucial plays, change the course of the game. Marlon Humphrey belongs to that second group. He doesn't disappear when the entire stadium holds its breath. On the contrary, it's when the tension rises that he steps up. His composure, combined with experience and football IQ, makes him a nightmare for any offense in high-stakes situations. How many times have we seen an opponent marching down the field with victory in sight, until Marlon shows up out of nowhere and flips the script? Whether it's a forced fumble, an interception, or a lockdown coverage that forces the quarterback into a mistake, he has a knack for showing up at the exact right moment. It's as if he's waiting for the perfect time to strike. And that ability to deliver game-changing plays is rare. It's not taught, it's instinctual, built over years of trust and preparation. One of the best examples of this is how he dominates opponents' final drives. On third downs in the red zone or in the final 2 minutes, Marlon raises his intensity and focus. He knows one wrong play can cost a game, so he plays like every snap is a last. More than that, he lifts everyone around him. The entire defense feeds off his energy. When he's on the field in those moments, you can feel something is about to happen, and it usually does. Humphrey also has an impressive history of forcing turnovers in clutch moments. His ball attacking technique is flawless. He knows exactly where to aim, how to position his body, and when to strike. These are the plays that change the course of a game, and often an entire season. You don't just see it in the stat sheet. Fans remember these plays because they represent hope. They represent victory. What's most impressive is that he does all this without losing his composure. Many players try to force plays in key moments and end up making mistakes. Not Marlon. He stays in control. He understands the situation. He evaluates risk. And he executes with precision. That mix of boldness and calculation is what sets him apart. He doesn't rely on luck. He relies on his read. Every move is calculated, but never hesitant, and that's exactly why it works. Behind the scenes, this clutch track record carries weight. His teammates know that when everything seems to be slipping away, Marlon can deliver. That reinforces the group's trust in his authority on the defense. When the team needs an answer, everyone looks to him, and that trust isn't built on speeches. It's built on results. It comes from what he's done on the field, time and time again, under maximum pressure. He doesn't need to promise anything. He's already proven what he can do, and this clutch gene translates directly into numbers. What do the stats reveal about his dominance on the field? As much as a player's impact goes beyond the stat sheet, Marlon Humphrey's numbers speak volumes, and clearly show how dominant he is at his position. Year after year, he ranks among the most consistent cornerbacks in the NFL, not just in interceptions, but also in tackles, pass deflection, forced fumbles, and yards allowed. He doesn't specialize in one area. He contributes in all of them. That's what makes him a nightmare for opposing offensive coordinators. One of the most impressive stats in Humphrey's career is his number of forced fumbles. While most cornerbacks struggle to create turnovers this way, Marlon developed a special technique to rip the ball from his opponents, a mix of power, precision, and aggressiveness. That puts him in a unique category. He's not just defending passes. He's creating turnovers. He's giving the ball back to the offense. He's flipping games. Another standout metric is his average tackles per season. For a cornerback, physical involvement is typically more limited, but Humphrey breaks that mold. He attacks downhill, takes on running backs, closes gaps, and contributes directly to the front against the run. His tackle numbers often rank above some linebackers at certain points in the year. That shows just how complete he is, and how his impact goes far beyond what's expected from his position. His allowed completion rate is another direct reflection of his technique and discipline. Quarterbacks hesitate to throw in Marlon's direction, and even when they do, the success rate is low. In multiple seasons, he's ranked among the league's best in that regard, showing an absurd ability to stick to receivers and contest every catch. He doesn't give space. He doesn't offer comfort. He brings constant pressure. Advanced metrics back this up too. Humphrey is elite. Evaluations from platforms like PFF, Pro Football Focus, consistently rank him among the top defenders in the league. Not just for what he does individually, but for the impact he has on the structure of the defense. His overall grade, along with his coverage, run defense, and even blitzing scores, highlight a defender who is versatile, dependable, and dominant. These numbers aren't accidental. They're the result of relentless work, impeccable professionalism, and a deep understanding of the game. Marlon doesn't play on instinct alone. He studies, he trains, and he executes with precision. That's why his stats stay strong even when the team hits rough patches. He's a pillar, a steady foundation that holds up the defense in all situations, and that consistency shows up in the data year after year. But just as important as the numbers is what he represents for the future of the franchise. With a new generation on the rise, what role does Marlon play as a locker room mentor? And if you made it this far, drop a comment saying Humphrey owns a defense. That way I'll know you truly recognize the impact he has on the numbers, the identity, and the consistency of this defense. Let's keep going. The NFL is constantly evolving. Players come and go, new talent arrives, and the cycle never stops. In this ever-changing landscape, the presence of a veteran who truly understands what it means to be a Raven becomes even more valuable. Marlon Humphrey isn't just an elite defender. He's a living example for every young player who steps into the locker room. He carries with him the values, intensity, and mindset that have shaped the franchise's defensive identity. And now, more than ever, he's the one passing that legacy on. Every rookie who joins a team finds in Marlon a role model to follow. He doesn't need to give long speeches. His actions on the field speak for themselves. His dedication in practice, his posture during games, the way he handles pressure, all of it teaches, even without words. When a young player watches Marlon on the field, they immediately understand what's expected of a Raven. He becomes a mirror for this new generation trying to establish themselves in the NFL. His impact also goes beyond the field. Humphrey is one of the most respected leaders in the locker room. He listens, he guides, and he knows exactly when to step up and hold others accountable. And most importantly, He leads by example. He never demands something he isn't willing to give himself. That creates respect. It builds trust. The younger players don't see him just as a veteran. They see him as someone still in his prime, someone who is sharing the journey with them, not looking down from above. Another key aspect is that Marlon understands the history of the Ravens' defense. He knows what names like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Terrell Suggs meant, and he understands that now it's his turn to keep that tradition alive. That kind of historical awareness is rare among players. He doesn't just play for himself. He plays for a legacy. He plays to uphold a culture that made Baltimore's defense one of the most feared in the NFL for decades. And the rookies see that. They're not just joining a team, they're entering a lineage. And Marlon is the link that connects them. Even with all that weight on his shoulders, he remains approachable, engaged, and aware that he must prepare the path for the future of the franchise. Marlon knows he won't play forever, but he's fully conscious that the impact he leaves can last long after he steps off the field. That kind of mindset is rare. It's what turns a great player into a true cornerstone of an organization. He understands his role, and more importantly, he embraces it with pride. For the Ravens, having a player like him during this transitional phase is crucial. The team is rebuilding, adding young talent, adjusting key pieces. And having someone like Marlon Humphrey to bring stability, mentor the new generation, and preserve the defensive identity is a competitive advantage. It's no wonder this defense is still respected, even with changes. Because as long as there's a leader like Marlon around, the foundation remains strong. With all this, one thing is clear. Marlon Humphrey is far more than a great cornerback. He's the guardian of the Ravens' identity, a role model for young players, a leader who embraces the present with responsibility and the future with purpose. And that raises a question. With so many rookies coming in, who will be the next to follow in Humphrey's footsteps and keep this defensive essence alive? With everything we've discussed, it's clear that Marlon Humphrey isn't just an exceptional player. He's the force that holds the Ravens' defense together. His impact goes beyond the numbers. It's about a relentless mindset that defines the identity of this team. As he's shown time and time again, Baltimore's defense isn't just a group of athletes. It's a mentality, a fight, a legacy. So the question now is, when Humphrey's time eventually passes, who will rise to carry that torch and keep this defense strong? If you believe Marlon is the pillar the Ravens need, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going, because Baltimore's defense has never been more important than it is right now. Until next time, Ravens.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.